Thank you, Francesca. Hello, my name is Fiona Ralston, and I am La Entrada's ASB Commissioner of Spirit. Today, 3 graduates will present their speeches. In the past month, every student has written a speech in his or her English class. From those papers, a panel of teachers narrowed those speeches down to 10 essays. They were then read by their authors to another panel of teachers, and the 3 essays that were chosen will be read to you tonight by their authors. The topics concentrate on events that have altered their lives, such as people, places, and activities. They will be given by Athena Burr's president, Samantha Siegel, and Eric Lim. The first speaker will be Athena Burr's president.
Welcome parents, relatives, staff, and fellow graduates. I'm honored to speak to you today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Athena Burr's president, a soon-to-be freshman at Castellea. While writing this speech, I realized La Entrada is where I discovered my love for learning. Its diverse community supported me and encouraged my growth from an innocent, young-minded 4th grader to a mature 8th grader eager to take in all the world has to offer. I've learned that education is key and knowledge is power. 6 generations ago, my great-great-great-grandfather Frank was born into slavery. Neither Frank nor his daughter Eliza, a sharecropper, were able to obtain proper education because of the slave and black codes set into place during their time. My great-grandmother, Geraldine Foster, or Little Mama as we called her, was actually the first of my relatives to get an education. Although Little Mama was only able to receive a 3rd grade education, she was able to break free of the oppressive system of sharecropping and become a factory worker. While raising my grandmother, Velma, she continued her love for learning and studied with my grandmother as she went through school. Velma graduated top of her class as valedictorian despite the struggles she and her family faced. From there, Velma went on to become a teacher and raise graduates of Columbia University, UCLA, Stanford, and UC Santa Barbara. Now, I stand before you all, a graduate of La Entrada, amazed at how far my family has come in just a couple hundred years. My family's story shows just how powerful knowledge can be. La Entrada's vast student body allows us to become even more educated as we learn more and more every day about each other's cultures and backgrounds. We learn about what respect means to us as a whole. With education, we can stop ignorance. We can learn to problem solve and compromise instead of just thinking all our problems will disappear if we build a wall around them, as some of this year's presidential candidates believe. There are still many injustices carrying on in today's society, from sexism to police brutality to income inequality. It is up to us to read up and speak out on these situations and demand justice. Reflecting back on this year alone, I've learned so many new things and gained so many invaluable experiences. Prepping for Mr. Kelly's debates and current events, watching Miss Evans dab, performing a unique rendition of the song El Chapo Jr. by 2 Chainz with my classmates for our gymnastics routine, and being able to educate a fellow student on the issue of cultural appropriation have all provided me with my best year at La Entrada yet. Finally, remember this statement forever, as it will take you far in life. Wake up and stay woke. And with that, congratulations to the La Entrada class of 2016.
Thank you, Athena. Our second speaker tonight is Samantha Siegel.
Thank you for coming to celebrate this special occasion, our graduation. Is everyone the same, or are they different? I mean, how different are we? Everyone here today is in the Milky Way galaxy, on planet Earth, and living in America. Kind of the same, right? Well, that's where everything changes. I'm not the same person as any of you. I'm not even the same person I was 9 months ago when I first became an 8th grader. Everyone is unique in his or her own way. Whether it's the sport you play or what you look like, everyone is different. It all depends on the way you look at it. The path you choose for your life can change everything. Why am I different? For one, I am adopted. Always have, always will, and nothing can change that. I used to look at my adoption negatively. Awful thoughts continually rushed through my head. Sometimes during the middle of class or while I tried to fall asleep at night. Why didn't someone want you, Sam? You were a mistake, or you weren't supposed to be in this world. These questions and thoughts impacted my life. I felt worthless and broken. I felt different. For those of you who are Star Wars fans, I never wanted to be Anakin. I wanted to be Yoda. With the love and support of my parents and consistently telling myself, I found my confidence and started to appreciate my adoption and be content with who I am. Celebrate who you are. Does it matter if you are different? Probably not. However, I decided I no longer wanted to feel that way, so I started to channel a brighter way of thinking. I was the chosen one, not the unwanted one. Thinking more and more about this, I realized that the adoption center chose my birth parents, and my birth parents chose my parents. To complete the cycle, I suddenly grasped that my parents chose me. They wanted me. My advice to my classmates is to appreciate who you are and accept your differences. We must all realize that it is our differences that make us who we are, and not the words of others. Although you may wonder if you can ever fit in or why you are so different, learn to accept your differences. And I can assure you that there are billions of other galaxies in the universe that will still be intact even when you do not do too well on the math final or you feel oddly misplaced. Why? Because there is a galaxy to welcome you. Together, let's celebrate our differences and never forget the wonderful moments that we shared collectively that make us smile. Do not forget those days when we attempted to fit 4 people on one seat on the bus. Always remember when we traveled to Washington, D.C. and experienced endless amounts of laughter. Of course, we also cannot forget this very moment, our 8th grade graduation. It is now time when I must finish speaking so we can actually graduate and continue on with the next chapter of our lives, the graduation party. So, with these parting words, I advise you all to embrace your potential. Embrace your differences. Embrace life's possibilities. As we move from one path, a new path begins. Congratulations, class of 2016.
Thank you, Samantha. Our final speaker tonight is Eric Lim.
Good evening. I'm Eric Lim, and I would like to thank you for all coming tonight. But most of all, I would like to thank the teachers and staff of La Entrada and Las Lomitas for guiding the class of 2016. On Monday, June 20th, 2011, 2 weeks after we all completed 3rd grade, my father, who never smoked and seldom drank, was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. A few days later, I recall both of my parents sitting me down and telling me the results of my dad's MRI. They bravely attempted to explain to a naive 9-year-old what cancer was and what it meant. The oncologist initially gave my father only 6 months to live. However, my dad was not going down without a fight. In order to be around for my family, my father decided to overcome the odds and live as long as possible. He began chemotherapy in August of 2011, and slowly he lost his hair and his mobility. Yet he did not lose hope, and he did not lose his will to fight. During this time, my parents were often away at doctor's appointments, or my dad lay in a hospital bed with an IV in his arm receiving chemo. Every so often, I flash back to April of 2012 when my father was extremely sick and spent an entire month in a hospital room on the 4th floor of El Camino Hospital. As steroids and painkillers flowed through my dad's body, he laid on his bed emitting odd phrases. As I looked at my dad, he seemed like a complete stranger to me. His physical presence rested on the hospital bed, but his personality and character disappeared for an entire month. Although my sister and I joked about the silly things our dad said, I needed another way to deal with my emotions. During that time, I did not have anybody to talk to about what I felt. Many of my friends tried to relate to me, but I was unreachable. Finally, I found a way to escape what was going on at home. I started to look at taking my love for aviation to another level. I approached my parents with a proposition. Mom, Dad, I want to fly. After some short debate, I started flight lessons in June of 2012 at the Palo Alto airport. My mom freaked out when she first saw the plane I was going to fly. She called it a lawnmower with wings. Immediately, my first flight gave me a sense of freedom as I banked over the Golden Gate Bridge and climbed above the fog layer over Half Moon Bay. Most of all, I could power down the runway and lift off, leaving all of my stress and worries below me. I was free as a bird. When 7th grade started for me at La Entrada, my father and his team of doctors ran out of options. They tried all the treatments, but the cancer kept coming back. Finally, my dad decided to end his treatment and enjoy his last couple months with my family. My father's 6 months to live miraculously turned into 3.5 years. On November 10th, 2014, my dad's valiant battle with cancer ended at 7:02 in the morning. When I carried my father's flower-covered casket down the aisle of Nativity Church, I gazed at the people in the pews, but they seemed like they did not know what to say. Later, whenever I explained what had happened to my father, sometimes the person said they knew exactly what I was feeling because their grandparents had passed away. I took their comments kindly, but obviously there is a huge difference in the two situations. I needed to move on and continue with my life instead of remaining in a constant state of mourning. Therefore, today, as we gather to celebrate moving on, I want everyone to realize that the challenges and barriers that life will throw our way are far from over. There will be many more obstacles that we must climb over and persevere through. When one of us falls down, we must help them get up. When one of us cannot walk, we must carry them. And when one of us is lost, we must find them. In some cases, we cannot simply avoid these challenges. Instead, we must charge at the obstacles with all of our strength and momentum. Class of 2016, faculty, family, and friends, thank you for your valuable time. I leave you with a quote from World War II Admiral William Bull Halsey. There are no extraordinary men, just extraordinary circumstances that ordinary men are forced to deal with. Congratulations.